Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the books that I have bought recently. I bought 16 books recently. A bunch of them were from a secondhand sale that my library was having, so I went and checked it out. Got a ton of cool books, some that I've been wanting, some that I was just interested to check out and see what they were about. All of the books from the library sale were $1 except for one book that was marked for $2. I went on the first day for the book sale and then the last day for the book sale as well, and it was $3 for a bag. Like, fill up a bag with any books and it was $3. I got 7 books and then my mom got 1, so it was all just put in that bag. I got 12 books from the library sale total, and then 4 other books I just bought recently. Okay, the first books that I'm going to show from the library sale are the ones that I bought on the first day. First book I have is the one that was marked $2, and that book is The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie by Alan Bradley. I have seen this book. I don't know if it was on TikTok or on YouTube, somebody talking about it, or me just browsing for a book somewhere, but I have seen this before. I mean, how can you forget this cover if it's, you know, a raven with its beak, or a crow. I don't know if this is a raven or a crow, but with its beak like punctured through a postage stamp with the queen on it. So how can you forget this cover? I was like looking through the books and I didn't realize that this was a murder mystery, so that will be fun to read. And I also saw that it's a series. There's other books that continue with the same girl that solves all the murders. Well, I'm assuming she's gonna solve the murder mystery. But this one's set in the summer of 1950, and main girl, I don't know how to pronounce her name. It's Flavia? Don't know if I pronounced that one right. She's a chemist with a passion for poison, and she's intrigued by all these events that she sees, and then she goes and investigates what they mean. It says The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie is an enthralling mystery, a wonderfully told tale of deception, and a rich literary delight. So I'm excited to read this, see if I like it, and then if I do, I can enjoy and devour all the rest of the other murder mystery novels that follow the main character. A lot of the books that were at the library sale, I just like saw them and I was like, oh, that looks interesting, I'll grab it. Some of them I did know, some of them are like have been adapted into a movie, so I kind of know what they're about, but not really. But I grabbed them to see if by reading them that I like them. The next book that I have to show you, I have absolutely never ever heard of this book ever, and that is The Chess Garden by Brooks Hanson. I've never heard about this before. The title intrigued me alone with just The Chess Garden. I honestly still don't know what this is about, like just like looking through it, absolutely no clue. It reminded me of Crossings by Alex Landrigan. This is like one of my new favorite books and I absolutely love it, and this reminded me of this, so that's why this intrigued me and I picked it up to see if it is like this or if it's not, or it's something. There was another thing that intrigued me about this. Also, the cover, there's a little like blurb at the top by New York Times Book Review. Made me also think of Crossing. It says, a novel of ideas, a love story, a marvel, which Crossings is a love story but not in the typical sense. Holding this book up to good expectations, but we will see if it actually is good or just. In the front, I did go through this when I picked it up to see what it was, and literally it has a bunch of little reviews on the first page in the book, and there's 3 authors on there that like just stood out to me immediately when I opened it, and it was Lewis Carroll, J.R.R. Tolkien, and C.S. Lewis. And I saw those 3 names and I'm like, I'm getting this. So the review for that one, it says, with a richness of invention that makes the worlds of Lewis Carroll, J.R.R. Tolkien, and C.S. Lewis seem impoverished, Utherhoven creates imaginary scene after scene filled with images of astonishing invention and beauty by Boston Sunday Globe. And so I was like, okay, if you're getting compared to C.S. Lewis, Lewis Carroll, and J.R.R. Tolkien, I'm gonna pick the book up to see what it's about and see what world in here is created that makes it seem very similar to those. I have absolutely no clue what this is about, but I picked it up upon that intrigue, and yeah, we'll see if this is good or not. The next book that I got is one that got turned into a movie, and I was intrigued to watch the movie just because based on the title alone, and also to read the book. And that one is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm so sorry. They had this book there, and then the next two, like the girl who kicked the hornet's nest and the girl that played with fire, I think is the other one. I didn't pick those up even though they were $1 because I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this or not, and I don't want to just get a bunch of them just because they're there and they're $1. So I just picked this one up just to see if I liked it, and you know, I will buy the rest of them if I do. The girl with the dragon tattoo, she's a punk prodigy, and she goes to help solve a murder case that's over 40 years ago. A disappearance is a disappearance, so like a missing persons case, with this like private investigator, and apparently she's like a big piece of the puzzle, or like she helps in a big way. Can't wait to read this, see if it's good, and then watch the movie to see which one I like better, and then if I want to continue the series I can. I'm shocked that this is also a murder mystery because I don't have very many murder mysteries, and I picked this up not knowing that it was. I'm excited to have 2 murder mysteries that aren't Agatha Christie. If you guys have any murder mysteries that you think are really good, leave them down below because I'd love to read more that aren't just Agatha Christie. The next book that I have is the first book that I picked up and saw, and all I saw was the spine. I saw the author's name and it didn't say the title of the book on it, but I knew immediately what it was because it didn't say the title, and that is Fight Club. You know, because the first rule about Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club, so obviously it wouldn't be on the spine, which I thought was clever with the way that the book is. Movie, I've never seen the movie, never read the book. I did get spoiled what happens in the book and movie, so I'm excited to see how that plays out because I haven't watched it, so I don't know the reason or why. I just know something that happens. So I'm intrigued to see how that happens, and that's why I picked it up. Also, I've never watched the movie, so I want to read the book and then watch the movie. Also, why Fight Club? Like what's the reason behind Fight Club? I don't know anything about this. It's 199 pages, so I'm excited to read this soon and figure out what's up with Fight Club. And the last book that I got on the first day that I was there is The Chemist by Stephanie Meyer. This is the second to last book that I need to get in order to have all of her books. The only other book that I'm missing is Life After Death, which was the Ginger Swapped Twilight. So that's the only book that I need from her now, and I will have all of her books, and I've only read 2 of them, which is Twilight and New Moon. Continuing to go through the Twilight series, slowly but surely. But I got The Chemist. This one, I don't know anything for the plot except she's a chemist and they're coming for her and she's ready for them, as it says on the front of it. I'm very intrigued to see if this has some type of supernatural element that's not like in the real world, because like Twilight, vampires, werewolf, and then the host, you have aliens. So is there like gonna be like a supernatural creature in here? Does she make something through being a chemist, like supernatural? If this is like Jekyll and Hyde, that would be interesting, because like he was a scientist and he made that, or like some type of like Frankenstein type thing. I don't know. But I'm intrigued to see if there is a supernatural element to this, because I'm like, that's a theme throughout all of her books, like are based on that, and she can't just have this on like a chemist. I don't know what happens to this. I'm excited to read this and see if that theory that I have is correct or not. Okay, those were the 5 books that I got on the first day at the library sale, and now these are going to be the 7 books that I bought on the last day of the library sale. And the first book that I have to show you is The Stranger by Albert Camus. I think it's Camus. That's how I've been hearing people pronounce it, so I don't know if it is or not. I know it's French. This was a novel originally in French, so this is translated to English, and I did not realize how old this book was because everybody's been like reading it on TikTok and YouTube, so I thought it was a newer book. No, it was published in 1942. It's a very old book, and I saw this cover and I was very like, wait, what? This is an actual like classic. I was shocked because I didn't realize that. I was planning on getting this book anyway, so I was just like, $3 for a whole bag of books? Okay, we're gonna get this. And the fact that I have like an actual vintage copy is really, really cool. This copy was made in 1946, so 4 years after its publication, and it was translated from the French by Stuart Gilbert, and now I have it. which I'm like, I saw it there, I'm like, okay, I gotta get this. I really do like this cover more than the black and white with the stripes going out. I do not know anything about this book, like all the other books that I got. I don't know anything about this, even though I did watch people on YouTube talk about it, and I guess I wasn't paying attention or it didn't sink into my head, but I don't remember what this is about. But the first line says, "Mother died today," or maybe yesterday, I can't be sure. So I guess this is about the narrator and his relationship with his mother, and maybe that's why it's called The Stranger, because they don't talk anymore and she's like a stranger to him. Maybe that's what the book is about. I'm intrigued to see if I like this compared to everybody else raving about it nowadays. The next book that I got is David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. Also, all of these books that I'm going to be showing now are all classics. I found these all in the classic section that they had at the little library sale. I did not see that section the first day, so when I went on the last day, I made sure to go around the entire little room that they had it in and went to each section, and I saw the classics and I'm like, oh, I did not see this the first day. So all of these were like the leftover classics, which were quite a good few. I'm glad they were still there, so I picked them all up. I have three Charles Dickens books, and I have not read them. I have A Tale of Two Cities and then Great Expectations. I don't have A Christmas Carol, which I really need to get because everybody's like, the one Charles Dickens that they all like is A Christmas Carol. I need to get that and read it for the winter time. I just went ahead and got David Copperfield because the movie that came out recently, I don't know when it came out, but it looks really good and I wanted to watch it. Didn't watch it, so I thought to pick up the book because I thought the story was intriguing, and we will see if it is. The next book that I got is a play that I did not know was a play, and that is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf by Edward Albee. I did not realize that Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf was a play. I thought it was a novel. I don't read many plays unless it's Shakespeare, and even then it's quite a few. So a lot of these that I got were plays. I'm intrigued to read more plays to see if I like reading them rather than like actually seeing them, you know. I also have never read a Virginia Woolf novel, so we will see if this makes any references to her novels. The next book that I got, The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. I didn't realize what this was about. I thought this, I don't know why from the cover why I would think this. I thought this was the book version of the movie. I don't know if it's called The Jungle or just Jungle, that has Daniel Radcliffe in, because that was based on a true story, and I thought like, oh, this is the book version of that, but it's not. It's about the concrete jungle and the working conditions in Chicago in the first years of the 20th century, so that the 1900s. We will see if I like this. I don't know for certain if I will or not. It's gonna be interesting to say the least. The last three that I have to show you from the library sale are plays. First one is Othello by William Shakespeare. I really like the No Fear versions of Shakespeare's plays. I have A Midsummer Night's Dream. I always say A Midsummer's Night's Dream. Love that play. My favorite thus far of the ones that I've read, which are not that many. And then Hamlet, and then Julius Caesar. This is my fourth of the No Fear editions of his plays. I also have Romeo and Juliet, the version that I had for freshman year English class. I do have that. I really want to get it in the No Fear version though. They had other Shakespeare plays there as well, and I think they had Macbeth in this. I don't know, but I didn't get it. They did have Julius Caesar though, so I already have that one. I don't need it. But I did get Othello because I want to read Othello. The next play that I have to show you, there's two in one little book. They're both by Oscar Wilde. It has Lady Windermere's Fan and The Importance of Being Earnest. I really wanted to read The Importance of Being Earnest. I don't know much about Lady Windermere's Fan. I'm shocked by how tiny this book is and at how tiny the plays are. I really liked The Picture of Dorian Gray, even though I'm not finished with it. I really liked Oscar Wilde's writing, so I'm excited to read both of these. And the last book that I have from the entire book sale is Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. I've been wanting to read Death of a Salesman just because it's very iconic and a lot of people talk about it. Secondly, it's Arthur Miller. He was married to Marilyn Monroe, and I wanted to see how his writing was, which is funny because this copy that I have, it has a bunch of writing in it and a person's name in it on the front of the cover, so I think this was probably like like for a school project, maybe for like English class or something, because it's very, very heavily annotated, and I feel like that's how my copy of Romeo and Juliet is. It's very annotated. Yeah, there's like stars by stuff, so I'm thinking this was for a school assignment or something. They probably like studied the play or whatever. I'm really intrigued to read this. I thought this was similar to a episode on the Twilight Zone, but it was not. That is completely different, so I have no clue what this is about. Now moving on from those books to the 4 other books that I bought recently, one being a box set, and the box set being a box set of The Lord of the Rings. I saw this out of the corner of my eye and I just saw like J.R.R. Tolkien like written on there, the font in gold, and it just like stood out to me, and I like glanced at like the pretty drawings and I'm like, that is so pretty. I really love the art style on this, and I was like, I have pictures in there. I already have copies of The Lord of the Rings, and I have them in like a newer edition, and then I have them in old classic editions that are right back there, and I was like, do I need another copy? I bought another copy, but these were the copies that I had before of them, and I want to give these away, like just give them away, because I don't really like, they're not the best covers ever that like I would automatically gravitate towards to buying them, but they were just a nicer copy than the classic versions that I have up there and that I don't want to mess up. But also like the font in this was like really small, and the font in the new ones that I did buy are a lot bigger, and the covers are so beautiful. The Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, which I think is my favorite cover, I don't know, and then The Return of the King. They're all so pretty, and I really like these way more than the other ones that I have, and they're also like really big, but the font in them is like more normal size font that you'd see in a novel, and it's a nice like soft covers. So I'm definitely gonna keep these copies of the books, and then I think I'm just gonna like get rid of those ones and give it to like a Goodwill or something so somebody else can have them, because they're nice copies. I haven't even read out of them. I did read out of The Fellowship up to page 100, but yeah, I started reading those. I haven't finished them like most books. And the last book that I got recently, which was a few days ago, I got this book. I was reading it from my library, and it's a huge book. It's more than 600 pages. It's like 630-ish pages. I thought the premise of it was really interesting, and I started reading it. It reminds me of A Wrinkle in Time. That's like one of my favorite books of all time. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to finish this anytime soon, and like I'm gonna have to check it out a bunch of times. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna return it and I'm just gonna buy it because I know I'm gonna want to keep it. So I went ahead and bought it, and that book is A Peculiar Peril by Jeff Vandermeer. This is a brick of a book, but like that cover is very pretty, and the title alone is what stood out to me on the shelf at the library, and I was like, oh, okay, what is that? Reading the back of the book is so funny because you're like, what? Okay. This is what the back of the book says. Okay, I'm just gonna read it to you. Warning. This book is not normal. I don't know what some of these words are, so bear with me. I'll put like it up here so that you can also read it too. Charlemagne appears as a giant moth. Napoleon is just ahead. William the Conqueror is an eel. Some of the vegetables you will meet can talk. Marmots are not the usual size. The Earth is a land bridge between England and Europe in an alt-Earth called Aurora. Guns shoot bears. That's right, they shoot out bears. Rabid chipmunks fall from the sky. And there are 3 magical doors, but no one knows what the doors really do, or where the 3rd one goes. Heck, all Jonathan Lambshed knows, he must help find a golden spear before Aleister Crowley can. But nobody tells him the spear is intelligent, and a psychopath to boot. If you proceed, you must repeat the following. I have been warned, and the risk is mine. Long live Squishy. Who's Squishy? You'll just have to read to find out. I grabbed the book and then I checked it out, and then I read this and like actually saw the back of the book, and I was like, this seems very interesting and crazy. Like a lot's going on. I was watching another YouTuber. Her name is Faith Reads Things. She recently got this book and I was like, oh, I have that book. And she said that she got it because people were saying that it's like Alice in Wonderland, and I can totally see like Alice in Wonderland vibes. Like at the beginning, this is like in the first chapter, so it's not like a spoiler or anything, but there's a marmot and it's like on the grounds because Jonathan Lampshed, the main character, he like inherits this like big estate from his like grandfather, I think it was, and there's a marmot there he sees in the front yard, and then it like disappears going from like behind a tree, and it like disappears, and he's just like, did that just disappear or am I going crazy? There's a basement and there's like 3 doors. It reminds me of the Mad Hatter's hat from Once Upon a Time, and like you can go through them, but then also like the door in Alice in Wonderland where it like goes, which Mad Hatter's hat, Once Upon a Time, Alice in Wonderland, no wonder they made his hat a magical portal. But it reminds you of like the portals through the doors, and like the one that she goes through in the movie and the book, and like everything goes crazy. I haven't seen what's on the other side of the door. He did go through one. Oh my goodness. At the beginning of it, it goes like, there's so many like cool like drawings in it too, and it says bird children title, do you know squishy? Literally like on that, where like it's right there, you can barely see it. Like this is so like this book. Oh, also, which is a really cool thing, the titles of the chapters have titles. The chapters actually have titles. Okay, so like chapter 1, it says a marmot and a mysterious woman, and it has it in parts. So it's like part 1, the lay of the land, and book 1, wobbling. So there's like there's 2 books in all. So book 1 is wobbling. That's the title of like the first book in this book, and book 2 is the marmot's shadow. It's so cool. The drawings in here are so cool. And then the little like for the dedication page, it says for the children, crossed out, for the birds, crossed out, for the bird children, the bird children. And then part 1, it goes, the lay of the land, you're going to have to get much smarter very quickly. I feel like the layout of this book and everything is so interesting. And then there's a quiz at one part. There's a quiz for finishing the first book in the book. And then there's an interlude. There's an interlude in the middle. An expert from a short history of the builders. Don't know what that means. And then the next one says, for the bird children, crossed out. For the rabid chipmunks, crossed out. For the beautiful pouches. And then book 2, the marmot's shadow. All of the little title chapters at the beginning of the chapters were so like fun to me, because nobody hardly ever does that. This book reminds me a lot of A Wrinkle in Time and Spiderwick. Those are the 2 that like stuck out to me the most. Alice in Wonderland, I can see the vibes there, but just to me, in relation to like what I've read and what I liked, this reminds me a lot of Spiderwick and A Wrinkle in Time a lot. I really want to reread that book. That is why I bought this book and got it from the library after reading like 30 pages. It really piqued my interest and really kept it, and I can't wait to read this entirely. I am definitely going to do a reading vlog reading this, so look forward to this 600-page gigantic masterpiece, maybe. We don't know yet. Those were all of the books that I've gotten recently within the past 2 months. If you guys have read any of these books, especially the books that I got from the library sale, like The Chess Garden, because I have absolutely no clue who has read that book, because I've never heard about it. So if you have read that or any of these books and you really like them, please let me know, and please let me know which books I should get to immediately and start reading, and which ones you guys enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in a new video soon. Bye!